but not everybody gets to be old. You ever thought about that? How many people you think are born in this country? Or how many people you think are born every hour or every second? Just think about it. The number of people that are born and the number of people are dying. But not everybody dies at old age. But everybody's born as a child. On average, somewhere they said it's like 400, in this country, like 420-something babies being born every second. As I'm sitting up here speaking, there's babies just being born all over this country. Now you do a country like India, there's over 2,000 every second. Babies being born every second. That's a lot of babies that are being born. But the number that's being born is less than those that are dying every second. So as you go through life, you have to wait. In order to get things in life, in order to get to the next stage, next age, you have to wait. And as you go through there, you get stronger, and you start to identify some of your weakness. Next slide for me, please. So that's what that scripture is all about. And this is just a recap of what we're talking about. I talked to you about why we forget how to wait. Well, the reason we forget how to wait because we wasn't ever really taught how to wait. How many of you mothers been in there cooking and the kids get to pulling on you and you say, wait, let me get done with it first. Impatient. You want it now. How many of you fathers or somebody, you've been driving in a car and somebody said, are we there yet? No, we just left the house. You got to wait. How many of y'all, when teenagers or before teenagers, couldn't wait to get grown? Could not wait to get grown. Then you got grown, you're like, man, I should have been a little bit more patient. I'm tired of being grown. I want to go back to the way it was. We get to the stage where we forget how to wait. Remember, you're going to be longer as an adult than you are for a child. So don't rush your children to grow up. I know we hate the things that we have to deal with children, but the thing is, that's just a short period of their life. And we want them to be able to enjoy it. Sometimes the best times you had with children is for some people the worst times they have with children. But we forget to wait because a lot of times we're not taught to wait. We don't wait on God. Sometimes we want things. Instead of us waiting on God, we go try to pursue it ourselves. Why do we rush? Not for time, for it's important. The time is important. Why do we waste time? If time is so important, why do we waste it? We waste time on things we can't keep. Sometimes those things could be material things. Sometimes they could be even people. We waste a lot of time, but yet, when you get to the end of your life, you say, man, time is very important. You start to realize that. This is just a recap. Why has life become so instant? Why are we such in a hurry? We're in a hurry for everything, but one thing we're not in a hurry for, and people have to be honest with themselves, they're not in a hurry for Jesus to return. They say that. But truth be told, most people are not in a hurry for Jesus to return. Now, some may have other reasons. They have loved ones they want to see get saved. Some has reasons that they don't want things to change. They don't want to give up what they got or what they think they got. Just a little blip on there of some of the things we talked about of what we considered that was important to us, the things that we have instant in our life now. And every generation goes through this, but there's a cost that we have to pay for all these things that we're rushing to do in our life. And we're going to talk about this. Remember that we're talking about that scripture that deals with love. Go to the next slide, please. I want to talk about our lesson. We had a total of 3 lessons, and we got to 2 of them. This is lesson 1, reasons we don't wait on the Lord. And this is important. And I'm not going to keep you long tonight. But this is the reasons why we don't wait on the Lord, and I'm included in this. First of all, how many hours you spend praying every day? Ever thought about that? How many hours you spend in reading the scriptures? But yet, we can spend 8 hours a day just to buy ourselves about 4 hours to live. When I say 4 hours to live, that means that you go on your job. So when you leave for your job, if you're going to work 8 hours, you're not leaving at the time you're supposed to be at work. You're leaving before that. And then you're coming home way after that. And then you come home and you got to get your dinner. You deal with your kids. You rush. And then you come here to Bible study tonight. And then you're rushing. You got to get back home and get the kids in the bed. And you got to get in bed and go to work and do it all over again. But you ever thought about it? You only truly get 4 hours of your time. And that's just working 8 hours. For those who like to work even more than that, it could be less. Because another 8 hours or 6 to 8 hours, you're sleeping. So we spend a lot of time doing other things in life. How much of that time we spend on the Lord? Labor 6 days in a week. Now, a lot of people say, I only work 5 days a week, but that weekend shows up. What happens? Everybody say they're working for the weekend? On that one Saturday or whatever that day is, you off, you got a whole lot to do. Isn't that right, Sister Nene? Chick-fil-A, Sam's Club, gas up the car, take care of the grandkids. I know how those weekends are. They get very, very busy, and before you know it, that weekend's gone. You know? So you really only get one day to enjoy. And then how do we enjoy that day, those who are in the church? We spend it at church. And then that feels like work too. So 8 hours to toll. We spend 8 hours working, but yet we only spend about 15 minutes on our meals. Can you believe that? Here in the United States, 15 to 20 minutes is all we spend on eating. It don't take that long. It takes longer than that to prepare a meal. So we don't prepare meals. What do? We fast food. You know how long it takes for them to eat in Europe? Different parts of Europe, Italy, France. You know how long they sit down to eat? 2 hours. 2 hours. And when you sit down with them in Europe, the course could be 7 different courses. Sister Nene said they chew the food. I like that. They do time. We don't want to have time to chew our food. That's why I look like this. I ain't got time to chew no food. But in Europe, they sit down, and the whole family's there. Dinner time is very important. I work with people in different countries, and at a certain time, when it's time for their dinner or supper, whatever they call it, they shut down everything because it's so important to get the family together. And they start off the family. The first meal could just be some bread and oil. Then they come out with a soup. Then they may come out with a salad. Then they come out with one protein and maybe a little protein with a little vegetables. Then they bring some more out. And it keeps going through the whole evening, one dish after the other. And sometimes it's set on the dish. We didn't used to be that way here. We didn't used to be that way here. Mother Smith, you remember a time when dinner time was a family time, and people actually put the food in the dish and set the dish on the table. And then people sit at the table to eat. That's the way it was in this country. When people got, my dad, I remember he was on the phone, and he said, someone called, we're having dinner, can you call back? Now today we just bring the phones to the table. If you're sitting at a table, you know, So we spend a lot of time working, and we only spend about 15 minutes to eat a meal, which means is that we're spending less and less time with our family and our kids. Like I said, you work all day, then you only get about 5 hours of sleep if you get that much. You know. Now this whole time, all the stuff we're doing throughout the day, we still haven't set aside any time for the Lord. Like I said, we go a entire week. We whole year only get about 1 or 2 weeks vacation. United States is the only country that takes less vacation than anyone else in the world. And we brag about being the most productive country in the world. But something wrong with us. We forget about ourselves. Same thing when we talk about retirement and so forth. Go to the next slide, slide 2, because I said I'm going to get you out of here on time. Another lesson, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So when we talk about another lesson, things that we learn too late in life. Good important thing is it's this first one here. The less you say, the more words matter. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm probably hurt some feelings here, but black folks, we talk too much. You know? And I don't know if this is being recorded or not, but it's the truth. Sometimes we talk too much. You know? I know that there's some people that say, I heard a term the other day called ghetto fatigue. You heard that term? Yeah, I see some heads bouncing. Sometimes you don't need all that loud noise. You know, you don't need everybody to be shouting and acting crazy. You know, I went in the grocery store and I said, I'm going to have a fit if another grown person comes in here at 5 o'clock in the evening with a bonnet and some pajamas on and some house shoes to go grocery shopping. It just, sometimes you say, okay, that's too late. I could see if you had to get up and go get some milk for the kids for the cereal for breakfast and you rushing. But it's just too late at 5 o'clock in the evening. You still got on pajamas. I don't know. That's just me. But here's the problem is that sometimes people say too much. They say too much. And you got to be careful about that. The Bible tells someone that no one knows you're ignorant until you open your mouth, per se. That's just another way of saying it nicely. You know, so sometimes the less you say, the more things matter. Everybody don't need your opinion. You know, and so you got to be careful with that. And sometimes most people kind of learn that late in life. You know, young people are always doing it, but as you get older, you need to mature and be careful of what you say and how you say it to people. Another thing here is always important is that second point there. It says, don't take everything personally. That's very important. Not everybody's thinking about you as much as you think they do. Don't be worrying about what you have on, what you drive in, where you live in. You know, some people don't even care. But to some people, it matters a lot. It matters a whole lot. And what they do, they make themselves into their own little prison. They worry about what somebody's saying to them. Some people worry about something so bad, if somebody whispers, they think they're talking about them. And that's a low sign of low self-esteem as well. The more people talk about you, don't you know that's just you getting blessed? You something to talk about. People don't talk about things that ain't nothing to talk about. You don't hear nobody talking about the grass, arguing about the blade of the grass, why you taller than the other. No, it's not that big deal to talk about, but don't be worrying about what people have to say about you. What do God has to say about you? What did God think of you? So don't worry about that. Don't wait too late for that. When you focus on a problem, your attentions, you attract more problems. That's something that's very important. I hear some people, all they do is tell me their problems, and then the following week, guess what? They got that problem plus more problems. If you have a problem, ask for a solution. Spend 10% of your time thinking about the problem, but 90% of the time trying to find a solution to that problem. It'll make your life so much better. When you focus on the possibility, you create more opportunities. Very simple. So you say, okay, here's my problem, but if I got a solution for that problem, there's a possibility that I can create something to get that out of there, then you just created new opportunities. Years ago, I did a study. It was a guy named Brian Tracy, and one of the things, he was a very wealthy man. He said, if you find something that irritates you, guarantee it irritates someone else. So don't be irritated by that thing. Figure out a solution to make that thing better. And he said, and that would make you successful. Here's a real big one. No matter how much it hurts right now, one day you're going to look back at the struggle, and as you realize it changed your life. There's some of us in here who's been through some terrible struggles. And a lot of times it wasn't even their own issue that caused them to get into these struggles. But now they look at it and they look back and they're like, thank God I went through that early in life and not late in life. Because they said if I would have did that later in life, I may not even be here today. So you thank God for that. A good thing that I always remember, people come into your life for a reason. Everybody in here is in here for a reason. Either to change your life, or you meant to change, they either there to change your life or you meant there to change their life. Simple as that. Simple as that. Everybody's in here for a reason. God designed it this way. He designed it for us to help each other, not to hurt each other. And that's why it saddens me when people struggle in this world and there's plenty of help and we refuse to do it, because that means we're going against God's will. Another thing, you never understand the true value of something. Especially, it says you never understand the true value of a moment until that moment become a memory. Now, those who, one of some things that hurts, let's go real quick, is those who maybe lost their mother or lost a spouse or a child or something like that. And all you have is the memories now. But all those moments at that time, you was mad at that person, you know, and you may have been angry, you may have whooped that child, or you may have said something to that spouse, or your mother may not allowed you to go somewhere and you was kind of a little angry. But now you look back at those moments and you say, man, I wish they were still here to see me now, you know. So value every moment, even this moment, just value every moment. Okay, let's go to lesson 3. This is the last lesson here. The next slide, please. Thank you. This is real important, and this is what I want to wrap up here tonight. This is what we need to really focus on. Now, I'm going to ask a question. Who is the number one, or what is the number one thing you should love the most? God. Very, very simple. Very simple. What is the second? Yourself. So I'm going to ask a question. If you know God is first and you second, why don't you love yourself? You're never taught to love yourself, have you? Did anyone say, I'm going to teach you how to love yourself? Yes, ma'am. What was that? That's exactly. You've always been taught to love one another. But anybody tell you how to love yourself? Why don't you know how to love yourself? And truth be told, if you can't love yourself, how can you love God? Exactly. How can you love anybody if you don't love yourself? You tolerate people, but do you really love yourself? And so this is what this nice lesson is all about start living well. This is what we need to do. We need to start to live a little bit better every day. And it starts with love. Now, this first statement here, it says here, Laz, how can we love God if we can't love people? And that's very true. If you can't love people, you can't really love God. The Bible tells you that. How can you hate your brother that you see every day and you say you love me and you never see him? You can't do that. So this first statement says most people don't want to hear it, and it's very true. Most people don't want to hear it, but real lasting relationship requires a lot of tolerance. A whole lot of tolerance. Hey, Jay, how long y'all been married now? Only a year. It's going to take a lot more tolerance. You're still in the first stage. I'll have to tell you about this. But real love requires a lot of tolerance. And the reason it requires a lot of tolerance, not only a relationship between a husband and a wife, but even a relationship with a mother and a child, a father and a child. You and your siblings, even you and your mom and your parents. It requires a lot. Mm-hmm. You have to accept that other people are not perfect. Despite you may think you're perfect, you're not, but other people are not perfect either. And that's the first step. We don't want to accept the fact that people are not perfect. Now, we know we love God and God is perfect, but did you go, God knows we're not perfect either. So if God knows we're not perfect, why do we think we're perfect? We compare ourselves to other people and think we're perfect. We do it all the time. But then again, why would you compare yourself to someone else when you was uniquely made? Don't you know you custom made? You ever thought about that? You are custom made. I told y'all this before. Look at your fingerprints. Who else in this world has your fingerprints? Who else in this world would ever have your fingerprints? Would your kids ever have your fingerprints? Grandkids? Your grandfather, great-grandfather? Did they ever have your fingerprints? You are custom made. So since you know you custom made, that means God has some love for you. So you have to accept that other people are not perfect. The disappointments, the pains, the irritations, it's invincible. You're going to receive those things. When you deal with people, you're going to deal with some disappointment. You're going to deal with some pain. They're going to irritate you. Oh, yeah. But that's part of life. That's part of loving someone. And you have to understand. What was that? Yeah, that's right. That's right. We don't obey God. Because first of all, we won't even love ourselves. The real question is whether you're ready to face the ups and downs together that it takes. When you get together with someone, my wife and I, we've been together 32 years, 33 years, we're going on 33 years. And there's always been some ups and downs. I tell her, I said, look, you've been with me longer than you with your parents, you know. And don't think about that, do you? You know? And it takes a lot of ups and downs. And we know it's going to take some ups and downs. It's because of the love. But most people are not ready to accept that relationship is not going to be perfect. And when they fall short of the perfection, then they think something's wrong with the relationship. That's not necessarily true. That is just part of the relationship, because true love comes in stages. The love of your family, the love that you have for each other. When you do get in a relationship, those who's been in a relationship, when you first get together, oh, buddy, it's all lovey-dovey. It's on. Then after a while, reality comes in. You start to notice more of the flaws, more of the disappointments. And then you feel a little hurt. This ain't the man I thought he was going to be. This ain't the woman I thought she was going to be. I got food, you know. No, that's just part of the stage. But then you go through life, you get closer and closer to each other when you realize what God truly said about the two of you becoming one, because you realize those flaws are your flaws. Those disappointments are your disappointments. They're not hers. And yours are not yours. They belong to her too, because you're one. It's one flesh. And then that's where the love really starts to kick in. And that's when you really start to bond. And that's the relationship you have to bond with God. It has to be a personal relationship. Your relationship is not the same with everyone else. Even when you pray to God, you shouldn't be praying to God like everybody else or what you heard, because you don't have that same relationship they may have with God. I get up in the morning and I tell Jesus, "Good morning, Jesus." I'm on my knees. That's not disrespect. That's the relationship I have, because I talk to him all day long. I tell him, we got to go this morning. I want you to protect me when I'm on the road. I want you to protect my children and my wife. I want you to protect my home. I want you to protect those who even staying home. And then we talk throughout the day. I tell people all the time, I'm riding on the road, Lord, help him. I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he's late for work or there's something going on, but Lord, help him. That's my relationship. Like my relationship with my family and with my wife. It's different than anybody else's relationship. It cannot be the same. And so because of that love I have and the love he has for me, it cannot be equal to someone else's, because I'm custom made. I'm unique. You're unique. God made you so special that his relationship with you is so special. You cannot have the same relationship with God as your husband has or your wife has with God. It is a personal relationship, and you learn to love that relationship personally. And that's where we got to get to. The question is whether you're ready to face up to the ups and downs together. Because there will be some. And God knows in this relationship, there's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some disappointment. She said we don't obey God, so that means I'm a disappointing. She said that there's times where we disappear when we're supposed to be doing something, so that may cause me some pains, and then he's going to hurt because I'm in pain. You ever thought about that? You hurt yourself, it's going to affect God, because he loves you and he don't want to see you hurt, just like any other child. A child come running in there, mama, I'm hurt. As a parent, you're going to do everything you can to help that child. But when you can't help that child, it hurts. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Excuse me? Okay. Oh, yeah. That's the instinct of a parent. You can hear your child among it could be 100 children. Your child starts to cry. You're going to know that cry. That's your child. It's because of the love of it. So as a mother, and physically, you can understand that you hear your child cry. You know that's your child. Why don't you think God understands the same with you? Mm-hmm. All right. So if God understands that in the natural, we understand that in the natural, why don't we think that his love for us falls that same way? When we do something wrong, it hurts God to see us do wrong, especially when we know how to do right. Love is recognizing that other people have flaws, weakness, moments of doubt, just like you. We talk about it in the natural with this relationship that we in. AJ, I'm going to put you on the spot because you're a young man. Yeah, I got a lung. Do your wife have flaws? All right. Maya, does he have weakness? Do you have moments of doubt? Like if that was the right one or not? Yeah. No, it don't supposed to be easy. And this is one thing I'm going to tell young people, and I hope my daughters is listening up there as well. I don't want to hear people tell me I'm not ready for marriage. You're never going to be married for marriage. And I'm going to tell you why you're never going to be ready for it, because it's just like life. You're not ready. That's like a baby being born and saying, I'm not ready for life. Put me back in. No, it don't work that way. That's the way marriage is. That's the way relationships is. You can do all you can to prepare for it, but you just got to get into it. Now, Mother Smith, I'm going to ask you a question. Back in the day, when a couple courted and they wanted to get married, they just went and did it, didn't they? They didn't wait around 3, 4, 5 years and act like they was married. They went and got married. Ready or not, here I come. You just go and do it, regardless of how much income they have. I'm tired of hearing people say, oh, well, I got to be a bigger house. I got to get more cars. I got to make more money. No, you don't. You just don't want to do it. Because when you love somebody and you want that person to be part of your life, you got to stand up and tell them, no, I don't have it, but together we can get it. And if they love you, they're willing to take that ride, that chance, even though they may have doubts, and go do it with you. That's the same way it is when it comes to God's love. You can't sit around and say, I don't want to be saved because I'm not ready. Well, as long as you're breathing, you're ready. You just got to make that hard decision is, okay, I got to go forward with life, and I got to go forward with the love of God, so I need to be saved so I can really, truly experience that love of God. Because when you get saved, you go into a marriage with God because and you become one because he's living within you. And believe me, you wake up in the morning with a smile. You go to bed with a smile. You don't have fear like you had in the past. Things start to disappear out of your life because these chains start to break off and you start to see everything as anew. The birds start to sing a little louder. The wind blows, it's a little cooler, but it feels good. Everything in your life starts to become better. Now, you're still going to have those challenges, but see, you know how to get out of those stressful opportunities that come to us every day. If life was such a burden to you, you would not come through that door. You would not be sitting here right now. You'd be balled up in a corner somewhere waiting to die. But you love God so much, you love yourself so much that you're not going to let that happen. And that's the part of understanding how to love yourself. Despite what every pain you deal with or what trouble comes your way, you know it's not going to last always because God told you it's not going to last always, regardless of what it is. And if it don't go away, so be it. It was meant by God not to go away, not to hurt you, but to strengthen you. We all got aches and pains, back hurting, knee hurting, feet hurting, dealing with high blood pressure. We probably got gout. We deal with all kinds of things, neck pain, head pain, shoulder pains, but yet we don't give up on life. You just ask God for the strength to keep going. This next statement here says, love embracing their imperfections. It seeks beyond the arguments, the misunderstoods, the mistakes. It realizes that perfection doesn't exist in a relationship. Perfection does not exist in a relationship. Now, when I say arguments, I'm going to tell you about true love is you can have a disagreement with someone or even an argument. But a child of God should not be in a point where he's having an argument with his wife till they get physical, get to throwing stuff, get to hollering and screaming at each other because it don't mean anything. It's not going to add anything to build that relationship. I told someone a couple weeks ago, him and his wife got into about eggs. About eggs. And I said, did that argument about the eggs improve your life at any point? Did it give you any kind of comfort or joy? All it did is just cause a moment for you to dislike her or doubt her over some eggs. And that's just a trick of the enemy. Because the trick of the enemy is to destroy families, to kill, to steal, and destroy. And now you look back at it, you laughing over that fact about some eggs. It wasn't about the eggs. It was the fact that someone did something that the other person just didn't like. Instead of confronting the truth about it, they blamed it on the eggs. So, loving is to embrace that there is imperfections. You got to seek beyond the arguments, the misunderstandings, the mistakes, and realize that perfections are not in relationships. Even your relationship with God is not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes. That's why when we pray, we say, God, forgive me if I sinned today. I may have sinned and I didn't even know I sinned. I may have hurt somebody and don't know I hurt somebody. You know, I'd rather help people than hurt someone. Someone told me they hurt them because they asked me for some money, a certain amount of money, and at that time, I didn't have the money to give to them. So I hurt them. The fact of the matter is, they tried to take their situation and make it my fault that they're in that situation. Not understanding that no matter what you do, you should not accept blame for anyone's situation because they could be their own worst denominator. They may have made a one. So don't allow that to happen to you. Even your children sometimes will blame that. Well, mama, if I get put out of this apartment, it's your fault. No. If you get put out of that apartment, it's because you didn't pay your bill. Don't be blaming it on mama. I get fired from this job because you didn't drop me off. No. You get fired from that job because you ain't been going to that job for some reason, you know. So don't let people put those blames up on you, even though those situations may hurt them or even hurt yourself sometimes. Love is not perfect. You know family's not perfect. How many times somebody in your family may have hurt you? Some families you got love from a distance. I have to admit it. You know, I saw a hand. Don't worry about raising a hand. Yeah, family hurts, but they still family. And if you can't help that family, you're going to help that family. And sometimes only help you can give them is to pray for them and to love them. That's it. It's not always about the financials and the material things that you can do for someone, because they don't know how to love themselves. And tonight I'm hoping you understand that you got to start with yourself first. Now we're talking about embracing this not imperfect. You got to realize, think of this, this is you. How can you take yourself and make your relationship better? How can you start living a little well, living well? Go ahead, sister. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the truth is, you cannot make people happy. You cannot make people. This is physically impossible to make someone happy. I'm going to tell you that. It's physically and psychologically impossible to make someone happy. Now, you can give someone a gift and give them a little joy, but see, people don't know what happiness is, and they make a mistake. A good example of that is that a man can be living in a $5 million mansion and never be happy. But a man could be living in a hut with a dirt floor and have all his children around him, and he's happy. Why is that? Because happiness is not based on the abundance that you have. Happiness is dependent on the well-being, like she said, at that time, or what you're living in at the time. The baby got a question back here. I saw her raise her hand. All right. If you don't understand that people can't make you happy, like you said, your husband can't make you happy no matter what he does. And if he's going to be a waste of effort trying to make you happy, he can bring you all the Coach bags you want, but that don't mean you're going to be happy about it. So the thing is that you got to understand it starts with you. You are your main motivator when it comes to being happy. God can't even make you happy. He's given us everything. Isn't that something? The sun comes up in the morning, shines in your face. Some people pull the cover over their head and say, oh man, the sun's blinding me. I ain't ready to get up. Instead of thanking God for the day that you get to, first of all, wake up and that you get to see the sunshine. So don't believe that people or things can make you happy, because that's not true. It comes within. Let's wrap this up. But it says right there, that fourth bullet point from the bottom is, but there's a beauty in the effort to stay united. That's very important. There's always beauty when I see people who's been through something, but they say, but God. But God got me through this part. She, baby, got another question, or she just stretching? It's very nice to see a relationship with all the struggles they went through and people are still together. It's a very beautiful thing to see people keep coming in here week after week in here, because they know they're building a relationship with God. And this is the place where they feel comfort to come to God and meet God. It's not always about being a couple between men and women here on this earth. It's about your relationship with God. Being united with God, no matter what, is going to make you stronger. That man or that woman sitting beside you, they don't always have to be your husband or be your wife. They can walk away at any point. But your relationship with God, you don't ever want that to break. You don't ever want that to break. So it's a beautiful just to have that effort to say, hey, my relationship is with God. Because the world don't understand that. It's about learning to forgive, communication, and growing together is always important. But you have to know how to forgive yourself. Some of you are dealing with some things you dealt with over 40 years ago, 20 years ago. You're never forgiving yourself for it. And the problem is that you won't forgive yourself because you believe someone else is supposed to apologize to you for it. You waiting on their forgiveness. They have moved on with their lives. That's right. Forgiveness is for us. It's not for them. Somebody hurts you, I'm waiting on an apology. No. You got to move on. You have to move on. Some people been in a relationship, that person they was in a relationship been gone, moved on, got a new wife, new family, and the woman's still bitter over it. Look at him and his wife and his kids. He didn't treat me like that. Gone. Move on down the road. That's gone and over with. It's been 60 years now. He ain't coming back. You know? Because you haven't forgiven yourself. Because some of you don't think you love yourself. Love yourself. Forgive yourself. If God has forgotten it, why don't you forget it? Exactly. We tend to hold on to things that don't benefit us. Let it go. Let go and let God. I like that. I always like that. But you got to understand what that means. You can't keep talking about the things or where you were at. Well, years ago, I got in trouble when I was young. Well, so be it. You ain't young no more. Well, they did this to me. They did me wrong. They took this from me, took that. But so be it. You still alive. Keep moving on. Let them deal with that. But don't you refuse your own happiness because you're still dealing with something that you won't forgive yourself for. I don't care what you've done on the street. I don't care what you've done to someone else. That's done and gone with. Ask God to forgive you. Then forgive yourself. You live in a new life. That's what it means to be reborn again. That old man's dead. Don't keep digging him up, worrying about it. Don't keep worrying about what other people are doing and how they live in their life. How you living your life? Are you living well? Have you forgave yourself? So what? You lost jobs and cars and homes and all those kind of things. So what? So what? You hurt people. So what? It's done and over with. Forgive yourself, move on. It says learn to forgive, communicate, and grow together. Who you growing with? How you grow with God? What if I just tell you just to live? What does God want you to do? He wants you to live, and you live for him. That's it. Just live. Live a life that people can see God in you. Don't you know that sometimes you're the only God people see? If they see God in you, they're going to like, man, maybe I need to get that way. I remember when Mike first walked in this door. We had a men's breakfast, and Mike showed up. I think somebody went across the street and got him here. Now look at that. That was almost 4 years ago, and Mike's still coming in here. Mike ain't the same man who first came in that door. You got to learn how to forgive and love yourself. And that's how you grow together. I always tell people I want to be green and growing. because it means you're green and growing. You always got something to learn. Learn something new every day. Every day you want to learn something new. Is it loving is a choice. It's a choice to stay together, to fight, to build something strong. And even if it's difficult, you still take on that challenge. That's the same way it is your relationship with God. You want to become stronger. You want to fight for God because God is fighting for you. You want to be that person that people look at and they're like, man, that's somebody totally different. That person's strong. That person is tough. It's because they've been fighting a long time. They're warriors. Don't you know God only gives the toughest challenge to the toughest warriors? Mike's bowing his head. That's right. God is not going to send you on a mission that he knows that you can fail. He's going to equip you in order to do that, and he needs someone tough. AJ, do they send out the weak soldiers to go fight battles? They're going to have to prove themselves when they get there, though, don't they? But the thing is that God may give you a challenge, but he's giving you a challenge that he knows you can handle, or he wouldn't give it to you in the first place. It says this challenge strengthens bonds, deepen love, and make it more real. I think some of my PowerPoint got cut off of that. But here, this is what I want to tell you real quick before we get out of here. First of all, love God. Learn to love God. If you don't know how to love God, ask someone that knows how to love God. Second of all, love yourself. Despite what people may talk about you or say about you, love yourself. Love your flaws. Love the mistakes you made. Love all the mishaps you had in your life. All of those things were designed to make you stronger. The mistakes you made are not mistakes, they're lessons. There's lessons and testimonies that you can give someone else. When you go home tonight, and I pray that you do go home and safely, and that you, before you go to bed, you say a prayer to God. Just tell him, thank you. I love you. Can you teach me how to love myself a little more? That's all. Deacon Hurt, you want to come up and we're going to take offering? Tonight is all about understanding how to love yourself so you can love God. There's no need to put on any kind of form or fashion or anything like that. You don't have to have a certain title. You don't have to have a certain amount of money in order to love God. What kind of restrictions did God put on you to love you? What restrictions did God ever put on you to love you? Unconditional. Unconditional love. There was no conditions. So why do we put conditions on ourselves? Just to love ourselves or even others. I can't talk to that person. They ain't in my class. They don't dress like I do. They don't go where I go. They don't act like I act. They don't go to the same church I go to. No, you're supposed to love everyone. Like my mom used to tell me, you never know which one of those person could be one of God's angels. You better treat everybody right. You better treat everybody right, regardless of what you think. Regardless of what religion, their color, their size, whatever it is, you better love that person. And you have to learn how to love yourself first. May God be with you. Let us stand as we dismiss this evening. Hopefully just a word of encouragement. Thank God. I am not your average Bible study teacher. I do believe in self-improvement. I do believe in living a good life because God has showing me a lot of things over the years. And the one thing that he's showing me is that we tend to forget how to love ourselves. We worry about each other. We worry about our children. We take care of all of them, but we don't take care of ourselves. But tonight, hopefully you got a word. Dear Heavenly Father, first of all, Jesus, I just want to thank you for this evening, Lord. Thank you for those who stepped in this door this evening just to hear this word, Father. It may not make sense to everyone now, Lord, but at some time in their life, Father, I ask that you reveal the fullness of this message to them, Father. Teach them how to love themselves first, Father, so they can understand how to love you, O Lord. Lord, as we leave this place, Father, we ask that your angels be encamped around us, Father. Protect us all on our way back home, O Lord. Protect those, Father, who were not able to make it tonight, Father. Whatever they may be doing, O Lord, we ask you, Father, in your name, Jesus, to allow us to come back to your house once again, oh Father, on Sunday, Father, that we may praise your name, Father. In your name, Jesus, we pray unto you. Amen.